In the review assignment that has the solutions and the video, there's an extra review. It's from 2022, and it also has the solutions as well. Pull that review up. How many of you have worked on this one or have done this one? Okay. Go ahead and pull it up. I'm not going through the entire thing with you. I'm going to go through bullet points. This review is very, very helpful in order for preparation for tomorrow's test. I'm going to go through and just highlight some things that you guys need to do. What I want you to do today is to work on this. There's only a handful of you that have even opened it. So this is really good preparation. Not for you to open it up with the answers next to it, so it guides you. You guys working through these, see if you can remember some things, those sorts of things, and then check your answers. It's really, really helpful. Is everybody have it pulled up? Just want to go through and just some bullet point things. Okay, look at number 1. If they ask you to find the equation of a line that runs through, remember guys, tomorrow you have 18 multiple choice questions. All right, multiple choice. It's on Remark. You guys are going to bubble in your answers. I'm going to run it through the scanner. So you will have multiple choice. There will be an answer choice that says none of the above. All right, you have to be able to be confident in your answers. Check your signs, those sorts of things. Please don't try to rationalize. Be like, oh, I got 3 A's in a row. One of them has to be wrong. Don't do that, guys. I made several versions of every different version. I randomized the answers. The computer generated it. If you get 3 in a row of the same answer, don't automatically assume you did something wrong. Just trust yourself, okay? Some of them are going to go quicker than others. But we have to understand what the questions are asking and how they're asking. If you're asked to find the equation of a line that runs through 2 points, what do you have to find first? You got to find the slope, right? Got to find the slope. If they give you 2 points, find the slope. Make sure your signs are right. Then it asks for the equation to be put into standard form. Again, you're going to have multiple choice, but if you have slope-intercept, what does slope-intercept form look like? Okay. Y equals mx plus b. What is point slope form? Good. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, right? You can use either one of those when you have points and slope and stuff like that. What does standard form look like? Good. It's ax plus by equals c. It goes x, then y equals c. So if they're asking, if you have something in slope intercept, you can manipulate it so you move the x over and the y intercepts on the other side. You guys can handle that, no problem. All right, finding x and y intercepts. Guys, if you have an equation that says like 3x plus 2/3 y equals 12. Right, I'm just making this up. I want to go through the how-tos so we remember. All right, 3x plus 2/3 y equals 12. How do you find x and y intercepts? What number do we plug in? 0. If I want to find the y-intercept and I plug in 0 for x, I do that and I solve. If I want to find the x-intercept, I plug in 0 for y and I do what? Solve, okay? Very simple. To find intercepts, you plug in 0. If you want to find the x, you plug in 0 for y. If you want to find the y, you plug in 0 for x. Slope and y-intercept, we need to be able to do that. Parallel and perpendicular. Parallel lines have same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal. We've got to remember that, right? Another thing we need to remember. Draw a little picture here. Right? Say I have a point. My point is -3, 5. And here is the given line. Given the blue line and this point here, I want you guys to tell me the equation of the parallel line and the equation of the perpendicular line. What is the equation of a parallel line to that blue one, given that point? X equals -3. Some of you are like, how did Connor know that? Guys, if something is parallel, doesn't touch, right? Runs right next to it. What is this crossing? The x-axis. So if they give you a point and they say, give me the parallel line that's to a vertical or a horizontal, they're telling you all the information. There's no work to be done for that. It's just, do you understand? What would the perpendicular line be to that? Nope. Given this point, guys, y equals what? Y equals 5. Guys, what is the slope of that yellow line? Slope is 0. What is the slope of the pink line? Undefined. We should not be taking things and making it reciprocal and opposite. If you are asked to find an equation of a parallel or perpendicular line to a completely vertical or completely horizontal, it's one of these where it's going to be an x equals or a y equals. You guys have to know that. However you were taught that in middle school, however you need to memorize that, you guys have to know that. There is no equation, there's no substitution, there's no solving you have to do for that. That's a concept you have to know. Whatever you need to do to get that in your brain, get there. Slope, equation of line parallel, domain. All right, there's 18 questions. There's at least 3 domain questions. Domain is very important. For all the Algebra 2 stuff we're going to get into, domain is extremely important. For you guys to understand the concept, we're going to hit it in 2.6. We're going to hit it in chapter 3, chapter 4. Domain is big. What are the 3 rules, all right? Your domain is all reals, negative infinity to positive infinity, all the time, except when? What are the 3 rules? A variable where? In the denominator. Because what's going to happen? We cannot have our denominator become what? 0. Okay? What's the second rule? A variable, not just a radical. Square root. Why is that important? We'll talk about that in a second. Are you allowed to have a negative underneath a square root? Are you allowed to have a negative underneath the 4th root? No. Are you allowed to have a negative underneath the 6th root? No. Are you allowed to have a negative underneath the cube root? Yeah. Right? So you got to pay attention to what the root is. What's the third issue? Both, right? We'll say both. A variable underneath in a denominator. If you have a variable in a denominator, you say x cannot be 0. If we just have a variable underneath the square root, if your square root is greater than or equal to 0. If it's the both, it's the square root is greater than 0, not or equal to. So this question here was really confusing a lot of people. What's the domain? What's the domain for number 8? You should be able to look at that and tell me. All real numbers. It's negative infinity to positive infinity. Is it breaking a rule? Rule number 1, variable in a denominator. Nope. Rule number 2, variable underneath a square root. Is this a square root, guys? No, right? You can have a negative underneath the cube root. What's the cube root of negative 8? 2. Not 2. Negative 2. If it's an even root, that's where the problem is. That's where you guys have got to remember. Little stuff, little stuff. What about this? People were so confused last period about this. I see a variable in a denominator, sure. If I were to solve this, x squared plus 4 cannot be 0. X squared cannot be negative 4. Square root, x cannot be plus or minus 2i. We're talking about real numbers, guys. So the bottom has no restrictions. There is no number that you could plug into that denominator and have it become 0. If you plug a negative number and square it and add 4, it'll always be positive. You plug in 0 and square it, add 4, positive. You plug in a positive number, add 4, positive, not 0. So that just had what that's saying is there's no restriction. So where's the only problem? In the numerator, right? And then you guys know how to handle that. What else? Oh, look, guys, more domain practice. Do we think it's important? Yes. All right, if you get a question like number 13 wrong, I might cry. I literally might sit at my kitchen table and cry and say, no one has ever listened to anything I've ever said. What do I do for this question? You just literally plug in -2. How are you guys going to make a mistake with this? A sign error. Is answer choices available that are incorrect because common sign errors were made? Yes. Make sure on something like this, you just pay attention, right? You plug in. If you were asked, right? If you were asked to identify the domain and range for this, right? This is where our transformations come into play. This is how you would answer a question like this. First of all, what is the shape of the parent function for this graph? It's a U, it's a parabola. Here's my parent right there. This is what you guys should be doing on a question like this. Visualize what that looks like. What are you allowed to plug in as far as domain is concerned in a parabola? All real numbers. Anything from -infinity to +infinity. Now there's two ways to solve this to find the range. You could make a table of values and plug in. Time consuming, yes? Or you could say, oh wait, let's go back to that transformations lesson and figure out what's going on. What does that negative in front mean? It's over what? Over x. What does the +3 inside with the x mean? To the left 3. And what does the -5 at the end mean? Down 5. So take your parent function and do those things. We're going to move to the left 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to move down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what did we do with the original? We flipped it over the x. So this is what the new one looks like. Can you guys now tell me what the range is? Because we read range from where? Bottom to where? So what is the range here? -infinity to -5. Does it include -5? Yes. That's how you can use transformations to identify domain and range of graphs, because you're like, oh, I already know what it looks like. I already know what the flips and turns and lefts and rights are all going to do. Does that make sense? What rule is being broken right here? There's a variable where? And a radical. What do you know about that? It has to be greater than what? Greater than or equal to 0. Right there, you can tell the domain. Just by, if you understand the concept, guys, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I can't have a negative underneath the square root. It's conceptual things you guys have got to be on top of. What's the shape of this graph? It's a V. What are the things happening to it? It's flipping over x. Left 3 and down 3. Good. Okay, determine all values of x such that f of x equals 0. What does that mean to do? Plug in 0 and solve. Okay. If it asks you to find the zeros, what is that asking you to do? Plug in 0 and solve. Plug in 0 for y and solve. Is there going to be any piecewise graphing on your test? No, I told you there wasn't. Is there going to be evaluating piecewise? Yes. How do I know? What do? I look at this and I say, these are my parameters. So where do I identify, where do I plug in? Where is -2 in those parameters? Less than or equal to 0 or greater than 0? So I'm going to take -2 and plug it into the top one, correct? How do I evaluate 7? You plug it into the bottom one. Why do we plug it into the bottom one? Because 7's greater than 0. Good. Very good. All right. How do we do odd, even, neither? Plug in 2 and -2. 3 and -3. 4 and -4. If you think the function is even, when you plug in a number bigger than 1 and its exact opposite, when you evaluate, the answers to those two things should be the same. If they are the same, you've proved it's an even function, which means it has symmetry to what? To the y-axis. Y cuts it in half. Good. If you think your function is odd, plug in 2, -2, 3, -3, 4, -4. What are the answers of each other? Opposites, good. Because think about it, an even function, the directions of the arrows is the same, either both up, both down. An odd function, opposite directions, that's why. If you have an odd function with opposite arrows, you have symmetry to what? To the origin, good. So if you're asked to determine the symmetry, what do you have to find first if the function is what? Even or odd. Good. All stuff you guys can do. Everybody can handle this. All right, let's talk about domain range. Domain is what axis? X-axis. Range is what? Okay, range is Y. How do we read domain? From where to where? Left to right. How do we read range? From bottom to top, low to high, however you want to say it. All right, when we're talking about domain and range, can we use brackets and parentheses? Yes, brackets and parentheses. Closed dot is a bracket. Open dot is a parenthesis, included or not. When we talk about intervals of increase, decrease, and constant, what axis? X-axis only. Don't tell me how high or how low the function went. Tell me from left to right, the interval over which it's happening. We read that from left to right. And we only use what with interval of increase, decrease, constant, parentheses. Good. Good, good, good. That's nothing. This review, if you can go through this, you guys are golden for tomorrow. You guys got to be confident. You have to be confident in your answers. You cannot try it. Don't second guess yourself. You guys know how to do this. We've practiced this. There's more practice here. Make sure you understand this. I'm going to give you guys this time now to work on this. If you have questions, come ask me. One thing I do ask is please don't come up and apologize and say, I'm sorry. This is my job, is to answer your questions. So don't apologize for me to do my job. All right? I'll give your quizzes back in a little bit.